Hello, this is Barbara Nicolato, Nick Snacks from Bello's Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make this waterfall card. It consists of 4 separate cards, and when you pull the tab, they each flip down. Let's take a look at some of the materials I'll be using for today's project. The paper, the decorative paper is double-sided, and it comes from Craft Consortium, and it's called Watercolors. And there's so many beautiful designs. They're double-sided, and the paper itself, it's more of a cardstock than it is paper. It's a good substantial weight. So what I've chosen for this project is this particular pattern right here. Then I have cardstock, and I think that color picks up some of these colors nicely. It's more of a mulberry type of color. So I'm going to need, in this color, a 5x7, a 1.5 inch by 5 inch strip, and 4 pieces that are 2 1/8 by 2 1/8 square. I didn't mention this particular paper is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inches. The white paper I'll be using is it's an 80-pound cardstock, not too heavy, not too light. And this is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. This is going to go on the back of the card so that you have a place to write to whoever is receiving the card. This strip is going to be scored. It's at 2.5 inches by 11 inches across. And then we have 4 squares that each measure 2.5 by 2.5 inches square. The stamps that I'll be using, these 4 are from Lavinia. We have Cherry Blossom, Lavinia 176, Lily, Lavinia 362, Wild Summer Flower, Lavinia 749, and Luna Lights, Lavinia 594. The sentiments I'm using are coming from Cardio, and the stamp set is called Say It With Flowers, and there are many different sentiments included with that stamp set. I will be using inks, Nocturne, VERSAFINE CLAIR, Purple Delight, VERSAFINE CLAIR, Charming Pink, VERSAFINE CLAIR, and Mulberry in the Elements by Lavinia. We'll be needing acrylic blocks to mount the stamps. We will be needing ribbon. You're going to need about 6 to 8, let's say 8 inches of ribbon, and then we'll just cut off the ends that are not needed. Scissors, hole punch, ruler, pencil, tear tape, this is double-sided, and art glitter, dries clear, designer adhesive glue. You're also going to need a score pal, a bone folder, and also embellishments, bling to decorate the card. Ranger has liquid pearls, Nouveau glitter drops, there's sequins, gems, stamp dots, so many different things. And then, of course, to give it a little more sparkle, I have gel pens, and there are the jelly rolls. I've chosen the pinks right here. And then these are the Signo Uni balls, and in these I am using the violet, the gold, and the pink. So the first thing I did is I took my Lavinia stamps. And as you can see, there's a theme here. They're all some type of flower. On each of the white 2.5-inch square papers, I've stamped using my, the darker is the mulberry, and then I've used Charming Pink and Purple Delight to stamp these. This one I stamped in Nocturne. Then I used my gel pens and glitter gel pens to add a little bit of bling. And then what I also decided to do is I have liquid pearls right here, and I use the color Ballerina. Ranger puts this out, and I just love, I love the pearly color that this has, and when it dries, it leaves a real nice raised surface. So I used some of that here, and I've also used the white, which is called White Opal, for some dots here on the lilies. Then what I did is I used the Cardio stamps. Actually, the stamp, there are always flowers for those who want to see them. And I inked it up one line at a time, and I stamped a piece of that sentiment on each of the 4 cards. And these cards will be read in this particular order. My next step will be to take these and mount them on this mulberry colored paper using my art glitter glue. The next thing I'm going to do is put this patterned paper on the cardstock, and on the back I will put the white plain paper. Now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure 2 1/4 inches from the bottom of my card up. And I'm going to make a little mark with my pencil. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay. And that's going to be my guide for gluing this strip here. And this is the 1.5 by 5 inch strip. I'm going to make sure that when I glue it, I'm only going to glue the edges, not in the middle. So the glue will go on the left and the right sides. And then the bottom will be where that little notch, pencil notch mark is that I've made. So again, I'm going to glue it here and on the other side. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for now. And now I'm ready to work on this long 2.5 inch by 11 inch strip. I'm going to take out my scoreboard or score pal and the bone folder. This will be scored at 2 5/8, 3 3/8, 1, 2, 3, 4 1/8, and 4 7/8. There we go. So I have 4 score lines here, and they're each about they're each a 1/2 inch apart is what happens. I'm also, while I have this laid out there, I'm also going to make a little mark at the 9 3/4 the 9 3/4 from the left. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm also going to make a notch 3/4 in and 3/4 in from 3/4 of an inch in from each side. So the notch will be at 3/4 and at 1 3/4. Next thing is I'm going to connect these, and that's going to be my cut line. And when I'm done cutting, if any pencil is showing, I could always erase that. There we go. I'm going to take my hole puncher and I'm going to eyeball this so that it's in the middle. And up about, oh my gosh, I would say about 1/4 of an inch up. I'm going to punch a hole. All right. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to fold and burnish along the score lines and make them nice and crisp. All right, and now I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to loop my ribbon through here and knot it. Okay, so I've put the ribbon through and I've trimmed off the edges. Instead of ribbon, you could use cord or a different color that would coordinate with whatever paper colors you chose. So here are my score marks again where I folded them. And when I open them, I also used this phrase from the cardio stamps, "Say it with flowers." Some people, like flowers, give pleasure just by being there. It's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay, so now we're ready to start putting the card together. Now, follow along with me here. I'm going to take this strip and I'm going to thread it through all the way, and I'm going to fold it on that last crease here. And I'm going to move it up, and I want to make sure it's centered so that I have an equal space on each side of this white strip. And I'm just going to eyeball that. And I also want to make sure that when this is in this position, that I have like maybe 1/8 of an inch at the bottom here where my little knot is. All right, so that's what it's going to look like closed. Now, I'm going to take this last section of card, and underneath it, right up here, I'm going to put some score tape. I don't want the score tape to go over this, so it's going to be probably right about there, where I made these lines, where I made these little dots here. So I'm going to put score tape on that section right there. And again, it's always a good idea to burnish down this tape. And I'm going to lift the paper off of it so that the sticky side is exposed. All right. Now here I go. Again, I'm going to bring this back into position. I'm going to leave a little space down here. I'm going to eyeball that. That looks just about even on both sides. And then I'm going to bring this down. This will have to be carefully worked through a couple of times to make it easy and smooth to operate. However, it gets much easier once we glue the 4 squares onto it. The next step is I'm going to take some of this tear tape or score tape, and I'm going to put it just below each of these score lines. And I have my squares laid out from left to right. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. And it's important that we start with the last card we want shown. So I'm going to place that over this tape, and I'm going to make sure it's centered this way. And I don't want to interfere with that crease line. Okay. Then I take my 3rd card, and that's going to go next. After the first card is placed, then it's easy to line up the rest of them. I just make sure that it's squared off all over. Then I'm going to take my 2nd one and put it on top. Again, make sure that you don't adhere the card over top of the crease. You want it just below that crease, because we want that crease to be able to bend. And then the first one goes last. Okay. Now I try to work this card a bit back and forth, and the more it's opened and closed, the easier it will work. Now, on the last one, sometimes you might feel that it's a little difficult to push it through. If that's the case, just place your hold up a little higher so we have more leverage and push it through. And after a while, that would not be a problem. Now, what's left is to decorate any other part of the card, even in here. Make any more, put in any more embellishments you might like. And on the back, you could use this spot for writing or for placing the sentiment. The other thing you could do, rather than put the white sheet there, you could always take a 5x7, which is an A7 size card, and omit this and glue it right onto the front of the card. And so the person can open it. You can write your sentiments, your wishes in here, and then this will be just the outside front of the card. All right, this fits in a regular envelope. We can tuck that ribbon in, and there's the card. Here's another one I made that I've put some pearls on and some glitter and sparkles. And again, I used a die cut here with a sentiment. And this gets easier and easier every time you work it as well. I'm going to go finish decorating this card, and I'll be back to show you what I've done. So here's the finished card, and I ended up just drawing in a little flower and some leaves with my glitter pens. I put in some metallic brads here, and in each center of these flowers I put a little bit of pink glitter, some glitter drops. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and just keep in mind when you decorate the card not to put any kind of embellishment where it's going to be in the way of the mechanism. And I see I just dirtied this. All right, let me just say that this mono sand eraser comes in handy because I had opened it and I had messed up some of these glitter dots since they were still wet. This took it right off immediately. Just wanted also to say that on this particular card, 1, 2, 3, on the fourth one, I have 3 sequins glued in here, and this one is not placed in a good spot because when I go to close it, not that it directly interferes, but do you see how this touches this? All right, that's not good. That's probably going to come off. So I'm going to think of something else to put there and improve this card. It's nice that we can learn from our mistakes and we learn as we go along. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please visit us at delbellosdesigns.com for most of your crafting needs. And if you haven't done so already, please join our 2 Facebook groups listed here. And remember to do something today that will encourage you to blossom.